Rumors and speculation engulfed the small town of Nocona, Texas, in the days and weeks following the mysterious appearance of the pickup truck in Ricky Howard's garage. The last person seen driving the truck, then 18-year-old Caleb Diehl, who borrowed it from Ricky. His fate remains unknown, and his family is left living in a limbo of fear and worry to this day.
Allie, any theories on what happened and why?
I have absolutely no idea. I know a lot of people want to go to that Ricky did something to him and that he's gone. But it's very hard for me to go there. I need proof.
Courtney, your mom said it's difficult to take any more family photos with all her kids because Caleb's not in them.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, just before we came inside, we took a picture, and there's just something missing. There will always be something missing. I mean, there was 5, 3 girls and 2 boys, and now I feel like we have 1 brother instead of 2.
I didn't know what else to do. I was tired of dealing with things in my mind and asking questions. I wanted to ask Ricky Howard some questions.
Unable to remain silent, Chad heads to Ricky Howard's house and confronts him man-to-man with his suspicions. It's a dramatic and frightening encounter.
Well, I took my chair and I squared it up to the table and I looked at Ricky. I said, well, Ricky, I want you to know, and I want you to hear it from me so it's not rumor, that I believe with every fiber of my heart, my soul, and my mind that you've murdered my son. No expression of sadness, no outshowing of anger. He said, well, I'm sorry you believe that. I said, well, that is what I believe. And I gotta go. And I got up and I turned around and I walked out. I didn't have to get into the reasons why. I believe he knew why. It was the most intense moment of my life, for sure.
Chad has his theories and police have their suspicions.
Is Ricky Howard a suspect in Caleb's disappearance?
I would say Ricky Howard is a person of high interest.
Of high interest.
That's what I would say.
And to be clear, Ricky Howard has not been charged with any involvement in the disappearance of Caleb Diehl, as his attorney Bob Estrada will gladly tell you.
Why do you think Ricky Howard is the focus of the investigation into Caleb Diehl's disappearance?
I think he's the focus of the investigation because of internet chatter.
Internet chatter.
Yeah, right. There's been a lot of it. There's different websites, there's different talks, there's lots of innuendo, but so far there's been no proof.
But in the course of the investigation into Caleb's disappearance, other shocking developments now come to light. It happens when police interview a man who once worked for Ricky Howard.
So you're interviewing this individual who used to work for Ricky Howard when he was a teenager, and out of nowhere he just says Ricky Howard molested him?
Right. During the interview process, he goes on and states that.
And this happened over 20 years ago.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
How many boys subsequently have come forward?
At this time, I want to say 5 or 6. Several of them are outside the statute of limitations.
How many are within the statute of limitations?
As of right now, I believe 2 or 3.
It's 2 decades old, this case. How confident are you these charges are going to stick?
I'm confident.
The Diehl family says they don't know if Caleb was victimized by Ricky Howard. But looking back, they can only wonder.
It just didn't add up. Coupled with, we had begun to spend lots of time with them as a family and nothing added up. The characteristics didn't manifest themselves, so we were just friends.
I look at pictures of us on vacations with them, and I think we all look so normal and happy.
Ricky Howard made a plea deal, guilty to 3 counts of unlawful possession of a firearm. He was sentenced to 5 years in prison and could be paroled as early as next year. But his attorney, Bob Estrada, says he's going to fight the sexual assault charge.
The pleas for the aggravated sexual assault is not guilty.
One of the people they interviewed who worked for Ricky Howard, he came clean and said that Ricky Howard molested him 20 years ago and 500 times over a 4-year period.
Think about that. 500 times over a 4-year period, and he says nothing.
Because he was a boy.
He still said nothing. And he was able to talk.
Do you know why he said nothing? He said that Ricky Howard kept a rifle in his truck, and he was scared.
This is a rural area. People keep rifles in their truck all over the place.
So then, what about the fate of Caleb and the truck he was last seen driving mysteriously showing up in Ricky's garage?
What does Ricky Howard think happened to Caleb?
I can't get into what Ricky Howard thinks happened to Caleb.
Has he told you?
I'm not going to answer that question.
And how about those burned computers cops found on Ricky's property?
You know anything about that?
I don't remember seeing torched computers on a list of seized items.
It's weird to hear, I'm sure you would admit, to hear someone had a burned computer.
Well, how do we know it's Ricky's?
It was at his property.
That doesn't mean it was his. Other people had access to the property.
But he does have at least one theory about what really happened to Caleb.
There are other documented stories of people who have walked off and started a new life. There are other people who simply start a new life somewhere else. And at 19, he'd be able to do it.
In the meantime, a family continues to hang on and wait for answers.
As a mother, your hope is that your son is still out there alive.
And until they can really show me some kind of proof, I don't know if I'm ever gonna not have that hope. There's just that feeling, there's always a feeling, you can feel it with all of us, that it's not right, and that it will never be right unless he comes home. I just miss him. I miss him so much.
No family deserves to feel this way, so it's time for all of us to join together to help get the proof this family needs to help find Caleb and solve this case. Here's another look at Caleb Diehl. He's 6'2", weighs 145 pounds with blonde hair and blue eyes. If you've seen him or have any information on what happened to him, you can submit a tip to crimewatchdaily.com.